Susan Hargrave runs Halcyon, a private contractor of the U.S. government who runs various black ops throughout the world. Mr. Heinrichs, Mr. Peterson, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to infiltrate Hargrave's organization and break out the truth about this Blacklist pilot. This podcast will self-destruct in 90 minutes.
We are celebrating tonight, Aaron, so bring more champagne. You know, those women from Commerce Bank drink like fishes. Welcome to the Blacklist Exposed. I'm Agent Troy Heinrichs.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson. Now it's time to put my badge in the drawer and get on with our morally justifiable antics. Thanks for joining us this week as we discuss number 14 on, I think it's the Blacklist? I'm not quite sure. Alexander Kirk, which aired May 12, 2016, was written by John Bokenkamp and John Eisendrath, and directed by Michael Dinner. Now I'm hungry. Great. Show notes and other intel for this episode of The Blacklist Exposed can be found at theblacklistexposed.com. Troy, quick programming note I guess we should mention real quick. This episode is going to be a little, I say shorter, but we don't know until it's over, so we're assuming it'll be a little shorter because we recorded it as soon as the episode ended. Actually, we had the time to rewatch the episode, so we have seen it twice, but it was done immediately after, it was done Thursday night. After the show aired. So that also means anything we say tonight will be absolutely probably be wrong, refuted by you, then corrected during next week's show. There's a possibility we'll get something wrong. Please don't. I mean, send hate mail to Troy. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I'll take it. I'll take all the heat on this side because Aaron's going on vacation.
Yeah, I'm going on vacation. So, you know, we're going to do the best we can. But it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be the dream that it is every other week. It's going to be more like a hallucination, nightmare, somewhere. Like a Freddy Krueger might show up.
Maybe as if you had taken some opium before you listened.
So also no special agent intel this week, and that's why. We will hold your thoughts for the finale next week, so send them in as a collective thought on the entire two-parter as a whole. And then, of course, let us know if you're interested in seeing the quote-unquote spinoff show, since this was the backdoor pilot tonight. Next week's show will be out on Sunday versus Saturday to give you an extra day to collect your thoughts and get them in here for the podcast. And also, because I'm traveling, I won't be back till Saturday.
You know how good last week's show was when he got done traveling. You don't want to do that again.
Hey, man. Seriously. Why are you so mean to me?
Gosh.
Do you got anything to say, or I got to do this whole thing? Because it's not like you're doing any heavy lifting here.
Okay, I suppose we can start the show. So we asked you to answer our profiling question of the week last week, which was, who is Alexander Kirk?
And you guys said, by the way, we know now, just so you know, but I've said it all the time, Blacklist pays stuff off quick, man. We got to start thinking of some long-term questions. What's going to happen in Season 5? Spoiler alert, it's not renewed yet. Don't run the press release. Jean, is it Jean? Jean. It might be French.
Could be.
You don't know. Jean or Jean. Mary and Somaya say Liz's dad. Ruth suggested Tom's dad. Lynette got more, right? We got a whole bunch of family stuff going on. Lynette got more specific and said that it is Katerina's husband.
That's interesting. Does that imply that Katerina's husband isn't necessarily Liz's father?
Yeah, man, seriously, I don't know anymore.
She's dead. Do we care? Is the question.
Well, I care.
Or is she?
We don't even know anymore. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. All I know is this was kind of the Blacklist, kind of backdoor pilot. I think a little bit more pilot.
Davina said a Machiavellian type character.
On Twitter, at DJMM1962 said a person that Katerina stole from or Masha's uncle.
Uncles are in the mix. Lone Gunman 95 said the brother of Liz's dead father, but ends up being the bio dad of Liz.
My head just exploded from that one. What? How many connections in the... Nobody ever says, like, gas station attendant or, McDonald's employee. Why does it always have to be family? Let's stretch these theories out, man. Let's expand them a little bit. Maybe not family. Maybe it's somebody... it's really family, probably, right?
Probably. It's what we're hinted at tonight anyway.
Crystal said, I think he is somebody who had more of a past with Katerina than Red. I mean, he is kind of Russian. Maybe he was part of the mission to bring down Katerina that Red's mind remembered in Cape May, the one Red helped her stop. That way, it would connect some of those dots. We know that was Red's mind, but those events could have been real, but at a different time.
There was a gun in his mouth at the house by the ocean or whatever that he mentioned.
By the water.
By the water, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That sounds familiar, doesn't it?
A little bit. Whoever he may be, Diane said, he's a dead man walking.
That's fair.
Well, do we put the bets? I mean, so season 1 ended with Berlin, the introduction of Berlin, and then we had 8 episodes of the Berlin saga, and then we had the director introduced, and the director lasted a little while. So do we think that Alexander is going to be toast by the end of the finale, or do we think that this carries over to start off next season?
I don't know. You've got several blacklisters didn't get killed or arrested this year. I mean, I guess Solomon got shot just recently. Spoiler alert.
Seen that in season 1 when Tom got shot and walked away.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, so I don't know. I really think it really depends on what the connection is. I don't know what the connection is. If it's really a familia tie, then I would think they'd probably want to keep him around for more story. If it's not something that deep, if it's really just someone, I don't know. I think he'll probably be around in the fall. Yes. You?
Why don't we put it out to the listeners and answer our profiling question for next week, which is...
How will the season end? And I don't mean with credits, yeah, with a real theory. How will the season end? How do you think? And we'll know by the time, we do the finale episode, we'll know, how it ended. We'll see who gets it right.
That's right.
Now you can pick last shot, like what do you think the episode's going to close on? Or you can go with what the revelation is going to be, or however you want to do it. And we're just going to tell you who gets the closest, really.
That's right. Now, set your morality aside, because this is a heist movie we're talking about on this week's Case Profile. I
don't really know if it's a heist movie. It's Mission Impossible.
That's what she said.
Right?
I thought it was more Mission Impossible.
Who's she? Oh, yeah,
Scottie.
She did say that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, you said, seriously, I have a 12-year-old's mind. You say that's what she said. I'm like, I didn't hear anything that sounded dirty. No.
You must not have been looking for the dongle then.
That dongle bit was great.
Twice.
That was great.
2 times in a row.
Yep.
Back-to-back weeks.
He's a busy dongle. We open with Rubber Baby Bubby. It's a tongue twister. Is what it is.
Nobody can say it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a tongue twister, and it's supposed to get you ready to orate. And it also is really annoying because I can never say it without getting my tongue twisted. We open with, you ready? Let's do this. Rubber Baby Buggy Bumpers. Can you do it real fast?
Well, she was rubbing her what looked like rosary beads, but then we found out it must be something that belonged to her quote-unquote son that she lost some time ago. And it makes her flummoxed.
What I said. I said, can you say that really fast?
Why are you going to put me on the spot like that?
Because you totally just jettisoned past it. So obviously you're afraid to try.
Rubber Baby Buggy Bumpers.
Wait, do it again.
Rubber Baby Buggy Bumpers.
Some bitch. Huh.
Lots of training and practice.
Rubber Baby Buggy Bumpers. I do it, but I have to slow down.
Just hit the 2X button on your podcast, people, and then it'll sound like he's doing it right.
Nobody does that but you, Troy. Nobody does that but you. Okay, so that's what she opens up. So she's obviously getting ready for her big spiel as she negotiates for Mrs. Palmer, who she's already got. She's already saved her. She goes in for hostage negotiation with already having the hostage. I think that's fantastic. And instead trades a brother for some ransom and somehow walks out of there with $3 million in cash.
You know how you used to play in probably grade school or something? It was like paper tabletop football. Mm-hmm. That's what I envisioned in this scene as they're pushing the cell phone across the desk. It was like, who's going to get closest to the edge? It's my Bitcoin wallet. No, my Bitcoin wallet. No, your Bitcoin wallet.
I wonder if John and John had ever seen Last Action Hero, because the Rubber Baby Buggy Bumper thing was kind of a funny joke.
It was
there. Yeah. Did you ever see that?
I did, absolutely.
Holy crap! I didn't think. I figured I was alone because it made like $8.
Well, test my knowledge. That's Schwarzenegger, right?
It was Schwarzenegger. Yeah,
there you go. Yep.
It was kind of like his "Make My Day." It was a joke. It was pretty funny. Okay, so she has an internal wacky monologue where she explains basically she does everything explaining her as a character and also her motivation, because she explains she's growing as a person, basically following an unspeakable loss. Did you see where this was going at this point?
Kind of, I think, but this goes back to how much did I know about the spinoff before the episode? So how much did I know and try to put it into the story without just enjoying the story?
Let's talk about that, because now we can talk about that. We kind of avoided it for a while, for the most part, in terms of what the press releases and what everything said. They all alluded to the spinoff, and Famke Janssen is going to be playing a character who may or may not be Tom's mom. That was in the press releases. So we've totally been expecting this, and unfortunately, and I'm not blaming anybody at NBC. Troy does. I don't.
Well, they said like when you're reading the press release, they're saying it's like Tom's mom, a character similar to the relationship of Liz and Red, which they're implying that they think that Liz and Red are father-daughter to make this stretch that it's Tom's mom. And then you're watching the show tonight and you're like, well, there's an answer for you.
No, the one I read, I think it was Hollywood Reporter, basically said she's being cast in a motherly role to Tom Keene. Oh. Something along those lines. So that the first thing that they said was mother.
Well, yeah, but motherly doesn't even mean mother.
Put it this way. They throw it in there. All I'm thinking is that's Tom's mom, basically from the get-go. Age fits, everything fits. So same hair color, the whole deal.
Yeah. So
provided her hair color is natural.
The minute she said unspeakable loss, I was like, oh, she's talking about her son. Mm-hmm. Don't know who your son is yet, probably, but you're talking about your son.
Well, how much did that affect your viewing enjoyment, I guess?
None of it, actually. The only thing that upset me about knowing what was coming from all of the press and everything was the list of characters that were going to be in the episode, because one of them was Eddie Gathegi. And because Eddie Gathegi was going to be in the spinoff, and then he gets shot, it's like, I know he's in the spinoff, so he's going to show. Yeah. He's going to show up, and the body's going to be missing when the cops get there. And of course, the body was missing when the cops get there.
What? You don't think his dead corpse just accidentally gravity took him out?
Yeah, or just disintegrated like a vampire.
Oh, that would be so cool. If Blacklist guys, start doing that. Make bodies disintegrate when you kill them. I think that would be a fantastic Blacklist twist. It would be weird. Like Dembe has special bullets, hollowed out bullets. And they're filled with something that, like magic vampire dust. Yeah, boom. So the show just modified itself.
Right. So that way, when they said Tom's mom, I was like, yeah, fine, whatever. That's cool. It happens. No big deal. I'm sure they can do a different twist with it. But the Eddie Gathegi thing, I think, was the only thing that kind of ruined my oh my God, he just shot him. That's awesome. Because I knew he was coming back.
You really just moved past my vampire dust bullet thing.
That's because I specifically said on Twitter earlier today, no zombies and no time travel.
Yeah, well, the Eddie Gathegi thing, yeah, that kind of bummed me, because as soon as he shot him, I'm like, man, he ain't dead. Some bitch.
Nobody's dead on the show, apparently.
Yeah, nobody's dead. But I kind of get past it. The only thing that really took me out of it is, as she alludes to, a missing child. The entire episode, all I kept thinking was, please, are you going to drag this out? Is this going to be like a Red? And I'm not knocking them, because I think Red and Liz plays, and the mystery plays, and that works great. But I don't want to do it again. You know what I mean? I don't want to have the same kind of mystery, and I'm waiting for that same revelation in two shows that are connected. To me, that would be really frustrating as a viewer.
So I tip my hat to the writers and John for creating this, because they gave the answer right away, but they made the twist of the show, the potential spinoff, of how that story is going to work in the new show.
Right.
And I think I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I like it.
Because it's now we have Mr. Christopher Hargrave, Jacob Phelps, Tom Keene, whatever you want to call him. He's got to be the international man of mystery, and he has to use his secret identities to keep the one identity away from his boss. I think that's a great premise for a show.
I gotta think that they intentionally connected Mission Impossible here, because in the movie, I don't know if most people remember this, but in the movie, Phelps is a character from, and I think it was from a character from the TV show too. Yeah, from the TV show too. So Phelps is a known character in Mission Impossible, And if you saw the show, I think he's the main guy. And if you watch the movie, he's a turncoat. He flips.
Right.
And spoiler alert, it's 20 years old. I think you probably know by now if you wanted to know. So I'm wondering, when are we getting the Tom Cruise cameo? Like, when is the Cruise going to show up? When are we going to be on cruise control on the Blacklist?
I reiterate, no vampires, no zombies, no time travel. I think Cruise is involved in all those kind of movies.
All right. Well, let's get back to the Blacklist / whatever this is called. They are housed at the chocolate factory. So basically, this is the crux of the plot, and we're going to get into all the characters where really all this stuff breaks down. And we find out that, now is it actually Halcyon, or is it actually Gray Matters, and Halcyon was like a front?
I'm going to say the way that Eddie, the reason that Eddie did that whole, or Solomon did that whole dialogue was
You mean the exposition scene? Hey, here's explaining what this whole deal is?
Exactly right. Walking through the same room that Sidney Bristow walked through back in Alias, except it was green instead of red.
I was wondering when you were going to bring that up.
Yeah. Oh, and then they walk into APO, literally 150 feet underground, like in a subway tunnel.
Yep.
I mean, I thought it was cool, but the fact that he said, well, this is Gray Matters, it was like this is Gray Matters. Like, it's the introduction to, and maybe that's going to be the show name, Gray Matters.
That's not as jazzy, is it?
Well, they had Grey's Anatomy, so why not Gray Matters? I guess it works.
Okay. Okay.
Grey's Anatomy was on for 12 seasons, I'm just saying.
Is it still on? I don't watch it.
It's still on and still going strong.
That's too bad. Well, going strong might be a stretch, but
7.5 million viewers every Thursday night.
The fact that you know that off the top of your head.
Well, because I look at the Thursday night ratings for the Blacklist, and it's the top one at 7 o'clock.
I don't care. You should ignore it. Who cares? What Scandal? You probably know that one too, don't
6.2 because of Blacklist was 6.5. You need to
get out of the house, man. Go outside.
I get a
like
tweet,
right now.
I get
I'll
a push
wait.
Notification on my phone while I'm walking the dog.
God. Well, I think he calls it the Chocolate Factory. I'm assuming he's referencing Willy Wonka. It's not really they actually call it the Chocolate Factory. Maybe they do. I don't know.
Implying that there's like weird stuff that goes on down here.
And that they kill kids.
Yep.
So 150 feet below the privately held or privately owned tactical facility is what it is. And Gray Matters handles the cases that are legally questionable but morally justifiable. That's cool. That's great. And I think it sounds like a fun pack of a fun gang. But I'm still unsure how kidnapping Liz fits into that agenda.
Well, I guess it depends on what the agenda of Alexander Kirk really is at the end of the day, because Alexander Kirk wanted her kidnapped, not killed. So in that sense, obviously she was a bargaining chip for something else bigger. That, I think, is what the whole crux of the story is with Reddington and his connection with Kirk. So
but she's supposed to be she seems like she's a good guy. And if she's a good guy, that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, she might be a good guy, but maybe she was programmed to be that way. You had the whole memory messed up thing. She was apparently Russian originally. She could have been part of a Russian spy program as a plant, because there was that whole I am Masha Rostova, and maybe some of that is true,
Yeah, I suppose.
So we don't know enough of the history of how Liz is connected into the overall arc of the show. So because of that, I think Kirk is the really interesting piece, because it's going to connect us, I would hope, to Katerina Rostova, since we had the Kate May episode, and to dealings in Russia, which should then make a connection to the bombings in 1982 with the Berlin saga, and some of these pieces are going to start fitting together.
Yeah, it better for me as a viewer, okay, being full devil's advocate, that's the one piece that doesn't connect. Based on everything else we've learned, I don't understand why they would kidnap an innocent pregnant woman and hand her over to someone, assumingly with a negative agenda, with an illegal agenda, maybe possibly murder or something along those lines. We don't know what his agenda is yet. Maybe he's actually the good guy. Maybe we don't know. Maybe he's actually trying to help Liz. I don't know. And maybe that's why she was willing to help. But now that she's helping Red, that wouldn't make sense either. So it's kind of like, I really need that piece so it makes sense to me, because as of right now, it doesn't make sense to me. Because
we're right back to the start of the whole thing of, is Red good or bad? When Harold sits there right at the end of the episode. And
he's bad. He's bad.
Well, that's what Harold says, right? Kirk. Well, we had Kirk funding the next president. Now we got Raymond funding the next president. Like, which one you go with? Are both bad? Is one good? Who knows?
Interesting.
But Red specifically did say, I don't care about your president. Your president, again. Said it again in this, your government, your country.
Dude, you keep bringing that up like that means that he's not from America or something. It just means that he is done with the country. He's done. Bob.
But it's important. It's a key
Land
thing
of the
because
free,
they
kiss
keep,
my ass.
they
That's what
keep
he's
repeating it. It's a critical piece of information.
It's a critical piece because he's pointing out the fact this ain't my country anymore. You guys, whatever you did it bad enough that I don't want anything to do with you anymore. I am done.
Yet he's still hanging around for some reason.
Oh, yeah, he needs something. He needs some stuff. Whatever that stuff is, I don't know yet, but we're going to find out. And basically the plot ends up being it's a heist, and it's steal Robert Diaz's money, actually Alexander Kirk's money, and force Kirk to face Red. Susan and her team are the ones who pull off the heist. Doesn't ultimately work the way that they want, but it does cause Diaz to issue a subpoena, right?
Yep.
So Kirk has to come in. Apparently that's going to force his hand.
Apparently, as long as it's a heist-type movie, you understand what was going on compared to last week.
Yeah, I pay attention when it's a heist. I like heists. Heists are cool. All right, let's talk about the characters.
Well, before you jump there, I want to ask you as the heist expert.
Whoa. I have never been convicted of any crimes. I have only been arrested those 6 or 7 times, and George Clooney's my uncle. I can't help it.
Okay. So as the heist movie TV show expert.
Okay. Fair enough.
Was this too simple for you? Too easy? Like a lot of the pieces were like, okay, we know it's a pilot. We know they have to make it sexy and make it cool and interesting. Was it too smooth? Was there not enough missteps along the way?
You want my honest answer? I mean, I don't want to. Here's the thing. I liked it. I think it was a fun introduction to these characters. Do I think it was a little too well oiled? Yeah. I mean, it worked pretty smooth, and there weren't any real hiccups except for the little kid getting shot. I thought that was a nice twist to keep it from being Joe Average, predictable. Everything going smooth.
After literally we said on the podcast like 2 weeks in a row, like, baby Agnes, and no, don't kill the baby, just adopt the baby out, and then you go and shoot a kid, man. What's up with that, John?
Yeah, but that kid's got nothing to do with it. If you're gonna shoot a kid, shoot the right kid. Don't shoot the wrong. Well, that comes out wrong, didn't it?
It totally did.
Enjoy your letters. Obviously you don't want kids. Just give the kid away. But that little girl, she was so sweet and innocent, and she just wanted her daddy. And then it gave Tom an opportunity to show one more redemption moment. Damn it, they're starting to win me over again. Notice how they win me over every time Liz leaves.
Well, and Solomon and Rowan actually help out with it and say, let's get the kid to safety. So it shows the morally straight, yet outside the lines, procedures that Halcyon is willing to do in order to make things happen.
Yeah, I think Solomon doesn't care about those rules, though. He seems like he's the guy, he's just going to get the job done. He don't care. Like, he's the same Solomon. I was afraid, what, are you watering him down? Is he a good guy now? I don't understand, but he seems like he's still...
Oh, no, he's still there.
Jackass.
Your wife's in a better place.
Yeah. Well, no, I want to get to that because that could be an interesting thing, but we'll get there.
Yes.
Why don't we jump into characters?
Sure. Music up first, obviously. Jacob Phelps, Tom King, Christopher Hargrave, whatever the hell you want to call him this week, does one of his identities and talks about the plan and how he's going to break into the Turkish embassy as Papa Was a Rolling Stone plays from The Temptations.
That was great.
Such a good song.
I'm like, is that Shaft? Are they playing Shaft? Is Tom King a bad mother? Shut your mouth. And then I was like, oh, it's Papa.
Nice.
Well played.
Nice.
Well played.
Later at Agnes's baptism/christening, because they used both in this episode, Tom talks about his dysfunctional family as we hear Lullaby from the Dixie Chicks.
I don't know that song.
Oh, it's a great song if you have kids.
What?
It's like an emotional thing. Mothers, fathers attached to their newborns. I think it was on like every single montage we put together for our kids.
God. I'm not a country music guy. I'm just I like a little rock, a little rap, I even like reggae here and there, but I'm just never been into country.
Well,
I'm knocking it.
I mean, classify the Dixie Chicks as country, but the Lullaby song isn't really country. It's more of a soft, maybe alternative emo kind of thing.
Maybe not emo. Emo's what you do when you're cutting yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's not lullabies. There's no lullabies that are emo. Or, well, I'm sure there are, but they're creepy.
Right.
All right, so going to our characters. Cooper, Samar, and Wrestler didn't get a whole lot to do. They basically just play along and also play dumb while they're assisting the group, after the bank robbery and whatnot. Dembe isn't even here. He didn't even show up. So it's not, right off the bat, not a typical Blacklist episode. And I guess since we're talking about our team, because there's very little to do with our team, our guys that we talk about every single week. This is really about setting up this possible team. How do you think people, because I know we're connected, we read the internet, we read articles and whatnot, but a lot of viewers don't do that. So how do you think they would take this? Do you think that they would be just taken aback, like, where are our normal characters? Why aren't they in this more?
Well, I mean, I think they did a really good job setting the stage in this episode to bridge that gap by going down to the Gray Matters office. And they had like our team on one side and Scottie's team, Susan, however you want to refer to her. I'm going to say Scottie because it's just easier.
Scottie's cooler.
It totally is. Scottie's team on the other side, and then just the bickering back and forth between the two of them. Would have been cooler to have Red on one end and Scottie on the other end as the heads of the table, but I guess Cooper would fill that role. So with that being established and how the plan was going to work, I think for that purpose of this episode, I could get by with our characters not being in the episode as much. If that scene hadn't happened, then yes, I agree it would be a little bit off-putting or distracting.
Yeah, for casual viewers is really what I'm really curious how they felt about it, but we wouldn't know, I guess.
I guess not.
Everybody that listens to this is pretty diehard, I would think.
I would think. Okay.
Well, Aram, he gets a few things to do. He sends Samar into the bank to insert his dongle. Let me say that again. To insert his dongle. To get remote access to Nicholas Pearl and get those funds. Troy, I just want to say it one more time. It was inserted. His dongle was inserted. And how do you feel about this fantastically inappropriate joke?
Yeah, I thought it was fabulous because it came from Samar. So it was the whole play on make your move, Aram. And then she's just like, yeah, you want me to insert your dongle? And he's like, well, I didn't actually say that. So here Samar is like kind of playing coy with him a little bit by actually referencing it that way. It wasn't even Aram that came up with this statement. So this is like your move, Aram, right here. She's giving you the opening and you didn't even take it.
I love her dry delivery, man. Like she never
like the desert dry. It was so good.
Man. I mean, her delivery is so dry and sardonic, and it's fantastic.
Okay, I inserted your dongle
because it could. If I was him, I wouldn't know if did she mean that perverted. I can't tell. I don't know. Was that meant to be lewd? I can't tell because she delivers it so dry.
You'd be the guy that's like
When am I supposed to make my move, man? I don't know. Poor Aram. But he also works with Aram Jr., known as Demond. So that's cool. What do you think about this guy?
I love that, the two back and forth things. And I totally didn't write down the line that Demond says when he cracked the password through the social engineering scheme. Tech
support comes in and saves the
day
or
whatever. Field gets the glory, but tech support like saves the day or
something like that.
I thought it was a great line, and just the fact that the two of them are teaming up, and that would be interesting to watch the two of them kind of work together.
Well, I think he's like the Aram of this new group. So how do you like Demond? I mean, how did he work for you? Do you like him? Is he as impressionable the first time you saw him as maybe Aram was?
Well, see, the thing with Aram is kind of the, and it's not like I'm picking on a stereotype here or anything. I work in computers, so everybody, hold your judgment of what I'm going to say.
It's 2016, Trent. We all work with computers. Come on now.
But you have the, if you were to stereotype your typical computer hacker programmer guy, it would be the, kind of beard, grungy hair, larger gentleman versus the scrawny, chiseled beard, skinnier gentleman that wears, perfect suits and all of this other stuff. So I liked the Aram character in the sense that it was kind of against the stereotype, where in the I was going to say APL, in the Gray Matters Halcyon side, it's
a different show.
It's a different
Troy.
show. I got to keep
it's
in mind.
It's a different show.
The Gray Matters Halcyon type, it's more of the stereotype. So it was kind of like, yeah, I get it's a stereotype, but man, he's got some really cool equipment.
Man, what are you going to do if this goes to series? And because it is reminiscent to a degree of Alias, I mean, in a way. What are you going to do?
To the procedural part of Alias, more of the season 3 of Alias.
Yeah, it's different. Serialized. Please, no Rumbaldi.
No.
We don't need to go back there. So what are you going to do? Because all the references, man, they're just going to come flowing, and you're just not going to. I don't even know how you're going to be able to contain yourself.
It must be like watching all 3 shows at once. Blacklist, Alias, and Gray Matters all squished together.
Oh, it's funny. I don't think they're going to call it Gray Matters.
God, I hope not.
I don't. But I do think we will know if it's going to go to series pretty quick. So what do you know? Like Demond, okay, he's the first introduction to our team. you're good with him, right? He
can stick around. He was fun.
Okay.
He was funny.
All right.
I like him.
Okay, we'll get to the rest of the team here in a second. Alexander Kirk. He made a fortune after the fall of the Soviet Union. He's well connected. He hired Hargrave to abduct Liz. That all went wrong. Red blames Susan, but ultimately they all blame Kirk, and so they want to get to Captain Kirk. Susan and the Impossible Missions Force do get the money, but it didn't quite work the way that they wanted, because when Red gets him on the phone and basically threatens him, he says, "You know what I was thinking, Raymond? That house by the water, gun in your mouth. I should have pulled the trigger. You got my money, but you don't have me."
And a senator.
Yeah, and a senator. And then Diaz ends up throwing the subpoena out there. But, I mean, I kind of like that it wasn't just about the money. I mean, the guy's like, "You still don't have me, man. You got my money, that's it. What did you think I was going to accomplish?"
Right, cash is cash.
So what do you think about Alexander Kirk? We don't really know much about him. Do you have a theory or opinion on where he is in the timeline? Is he a father, uncle, brother, son, cousin, sister, aunt? What else is left in the family lineage? Grandma?
College roommate.
College roommate. Sister, brother of a college roommate. I've lost track of all the possibilities from family. So who do you think Alexander Kirk is?
I truly think, as I said last week, that he's some kind of business associate, business that went awry, something obviously. He's backed by Russia. I don't know if he was from Russia specifically. That's the part I didn't write down when I was, so someone can correct me next week, of course, having just watched it. But I would say he's more of the business associate, gone awry type person. And the one thing that was really interesting, though, is that when he starts talking about Kirk, when he's doing his normal kind of Blacklister of the Week exposition at the post office, they flash over to Kirk, and there's like a blood bag hanging there. So the question was he getting blood or was he giving blood? And does that have something to play into the story? Because that was very quick, very rapid, and he always seemed kind of like hunched over and slow at his table when the assistant comes in. So maybe he has some kind of illness. Maybe that has something to tie into it.
Very possible. Maybe he needed a organ donation from Liz.
Possible.
Hey,
or we talked about, why is this family's bloodline so special? Maybe it's a certain DNA strand, or
like midichlorians or whatever.
Could be you went there, not me.
Just, hey, it's a theory. Hey, everybody's got a theory. That's my theory. They're Jedi.
Miracle blood.
It could happen. I'm curious. I don't really have. Man, I know people expect, well, you got to have some theory. I don't. I mean, my main theory was he's connected to Dom in some way, like an estranged, not brother, but estranged nephew or something. So, yes, I went family too. I'm guilty. But mostly because, I mean, with the Russian tie-in, how do you not? The only other thing I can think of is that he tried to kill Katerina, failed, found out that Liz is there, so he wants to kill Liz. But I just don't see why killing her would do anything if you think Katerina is dead. I don't really understand what possible good can come. Let's kill her child because we're pissed at her. That's not good enough.
Well, they didn't intend to kill her. They intended to capture her.
But for what? To what end? For what purpose?
That's the mystery. That's the big question.
The only justification for that, because now they finally admitted that Agnes is in danger. I've been waiting for someone to say that for how many episodes now? Like 3?
Because she's got the miracle blood.
Well, I know the midichlorians are strong in that one. I've been waiting for somebody to say that, because all this time, and I think I talked about it last episode or the one before that, where I'm like, why is nobody freaking out about Agnes? Because if they wanted Liz for no reason, they're going to want Agnes for no reason. And I just don't get why, and I'm sure that's coming. It's just right now, that's good for them, because it's the one thing I just haven't figured it out. I've got so many options, and I don't know which one's the right one.
Well, it took them time to find the kid, right? Because it was with the dog and the cat. Someone was taking care of him.
Right. Yep.
So this episode, they finally found the kid, so now they're like, okay, go get him. And then Scottie intercepted the kid ahead of time.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm curious. I wonder if maybe Kirk is actually not trying to get Liz and the baby for nefarious reasons. Maybe he's trying to do it for good reasons.
Could be.
Maybe he's trying to protect them from Red. Wouldn't that be a mind-blowing twist?
Well, and I think it kind of, because he said it's tied into Russian stuff, that I go back to that bombing story with Berlin. I think it was 82. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong. But maybe there's
they will, brother.
Maybe there's
a
group of people, right? Maybe there's like a council or a cabal, if you will, in Russia that bombing took out, and maybe Kirk is one of those that was at the table like Berlin. And so it's literally that group that's coming after Reddington because Reddington was behind the bombing.
Possible. Everything is possible. Everything. Okay, Rowan, she's badass, which is obviously why her and Samara butt heads so much. I mean, literally. And plus, there was that ass kicking. Like, was it last episode?
Yep.
Yeah, last episode where she kicked Samara's ass while she was trying to save a man's life.
That's right.
Which we didn't hear about Stalder this week,
nope.
right?
Stalder's probably out of the picture at this point.
Okay. So what do you think about Rowan? Because Rowan is, she's obviously one of the right hands. She's kind of the Samara of this team. So how do you feel about her now that we've seen her? And it's kind of like we're going through this whole, how do you feel about them? Because this is kind of an audition, right? I mean, for viewers, it's an audition. Would you watch a show if it came back?
So, of course, this is one of those that kind of popped up when they were talking about this potential spinoff back in March. And the press releases were coming out, and you're like, "Oh, look at this! Tawny Cypress is going to be on the spinoff." And then,
you were mad about that.
And then Tawny Cypress is like in the next episode, and I was like, "What the hell? What is she on the show for already?"
I like how polite you're saying it now, because at the time it was like, "You sons of bitches."
I'm still angry about it because it's
bleep,
like
bleep, 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 bleep. And Troy doesn't ever say bleep. I say bleep all the time. Troy doesn't swear, and he was like bleep, 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 bleep. You were not happy.
I said a bleep when Solomon got shot, just like you did. I was like, "Oh man, he's not dead."
I know people. I saw people on Twitter like, "I can't believe they killed Solomon," and all I wanted to say was like, "Just hang tight.
Yeah,
you'll be okay."
Give it about 3 minutes.
I almost wanted to tweet out some links to some articles. I'm like, guess what? I hear, should this go to series, he'll be all right.
He'll be on it.
Yeah.
But that would have been funny, though, if he actually got shot and was dead, because we were talking about, is this spinoff going to be a prequel or a future quill or whatever it's going to do? So that would have been interesting if they actually killed him off, and then how would they bring him back into the show?
No, you know what I wish they would have done is once it came out, the information came out that spinoff potential and this is a backdoor pilot, I wish they would have killed a character, like they sent out a fake news release. I realize they don't want to do that because you don't want to piss off fans, but I kind of think in this day and age, the way the internet is, you almost have to do that. You have to fake your audience out if you really want to surprise them and take them aback.
You mean like taking certain shows that you might be involved in off of your Twitter and Instagram accounts? Kind of like that?
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? Are you talking about Megan Boone? I don't know what you're talking about.
I wasn't talking about Megan Boone. I just said some people might do that.
I don't know what you're talking about. Doesn't make any sense. That seems silly. By the way, the pictures of her and her baby that she's putting on Instagram.
Adorbs.
Adorable.
Adorbs.
Every time she does one, I'm like, I remember why I had such a crush on you the first season. Adorable. I know that sounds weird because she's holding her baby, but she's still a very pretty woman. So,
especially because she had the wig the first season. Oh, yes, we went back to Wiggate.
You know what? That's the one thing we didn't ask John. We should have brought up the wig thing.
Oh, no. John made that perfectly go. He was clear after season 1. The wig is dead. I wasn't going to ask him about it because I think it was a sore subject.
That's funny. All right.
Well, clearly Rowan's a badass character because Solomon's even afraid of her.
Yeah, he is. And speaking of Solomon, let's talk about Mr. Cold as Ice. I say he's still a villain. Do you think he can be a good guy based on his previous actions, including, I want to remind people, tortured our Dembe. Tortured him.
That's right.
No coming back from that. Threatened children, tortured Dembe. For me, can't come back from it.
Drew a line around Liz's body with a knife. Yeah.
Hulk smash.
We love to hate him, but we love him at the same time.
Well, I mean, you need that character because that's one thing, Red, I guess, is that character for Blacklist. But on the team, there's really not that person where you really, really question their motives on the team.
Right.
And he would be a questionable motive.
Yeah,
would you agree with that?
Yeah, he's got to be the one person, like if you're going to do a show and have stories that you can go with and run with, then he's the character that you're like, when is he going to backstab somebody during the course of the show? And
I do gotta say, this is, I realize how sadistic I am more when I listen to the podcast, like after we record it, because all I'm thinking right now is I think it was totally cool that he was going to let that kid die. I'm like, That's totally cool because they don't do that in TV. Characters don't do that in TV. They're always, well, we gotta do the right thing. Even bad people, if it's a kid, always have to do the right thing. He's like, nah, it should be all right. We got a clock, man. I ain't got time for this.
It's a flesh wound. Just let her go.
He didn't even flinch. It was his fault. He didn't even flinch. Like, there was no emotion. There was no regret. Love that. And I know that sounds awful, but I love that because the hell with them. Let's throw conventions to the wind. Let's get crazy. Let's get nuts.
Standards and practices, man. Standards and practices.
Is that in the rule book?
Maybe if it was on cable. You never know.
Is that in the rule book? You can't let kids die?
We can't let animals die. PETA will be all over you. I'm sure there's some kind of kid version of PETA
I think
out there.
PETA's all over you if you actually kill an animal. I think if you do it on TV, you're okay. Same with kids. As long as you don't actually kill a kid, I think you'll be all right. But they're worried about losing viewers. You know, it's a family network and all that jive.
And, of course, she's totally fine because Scottie paid $7 million to get all of the HIPAA records from everybody in the hospital.
Yeah, and plus, she's adorable, and adorable children don't die.
And
that is a TV rule.
The dad was cool, too.
Dad was great, man. He was like Mr. Dad. He was a hero.
Dad's like, wait, man. You shot my daughter, but you're going to save my daughter, too? That's awesome.
And why did people stop wearing their mask? Like, Solomon's the only one that remembered that we're committing a crime right now. Everybody, put your mask back on. Everybody else is just taking them off. He's like, no, I'm going to wait. Okay, so he says that line, you mentioned it earlier, where he says, you and I both know that your wife is in a much better place. You and I both know that your wife is in a much better place. That's when Tom shoots him, right?
Right.
My question to you and to everybody listening, everybody's jumping on that like he's assuming that, hey, you know, she's dead. She's in a better place. Could it possibly be that he is fully aware and thinks that Tom is aware that Liz is actually safe?
Again, it's the way they write the show. Anything, depending on where your point of view is, that line could be taken two ways.
Yeah, but I don't see anybody taking it the other way, and that's why I'm like, it really seems like that would work to me.
I took it that way because we believe she's not dead.
Well, yeah.
And then I was like, oh, he could be talking about heaven, I suppose. But no, he's talking about. I
don't think he believes in heaven.
He's talking about the banana plantation with Marvin Gerard, where she's hanging out.
That'd be funny. No, seriously, that's what I got from it. I think he was actually he thought he was bonding with Tom because he had this look like, did you just shoot me after I said something nice about your wife? And Tom's like, you didn't say something nice about my wife. You actually said that's good that she's dead. Which does make me think that Tom probably doesn't know she's alive.
Like I said,
if she's alive, because her Instagram's account says she's no longer an actress on the Blacklist, so it's very possible. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Then I said, right when it happened, I said, if in order for Red to believe, according to James Spader's article and whatever, if Red is good to believe that Liz is dead, then in order for Red and Tom to go forward, then Tom also has to believe she is dead.
Yeah. I've been saying Tom had to know. I'm starting to think Tom doesn't know. Which means, theoretically, I'm wrong, but we're not going to... I can't admit that until I'm officially 100% wrong. That's the rule.
That's the rule.
I just wrote that rule, but it's a rule.
Yep. Even if Liz comes back in season 8, then we can
now,
say, do you remember season 3? We were right.
How awesome would that be? Like, it's a couple years before, like she takes an entire year off or something to be a mom or whatever, and then she comes back, and then she just shows up in season 5.
Right.
Oh, that'd be good. Do you think he's dead?
Oh, Solomon? No.
Yeah.
No. Body gone, still alive.
You don't. Well, we used to say.
Well, for now,
if you don't see a corpse in a body bag, they're not dead. But even now, we're like, even if you see a corpse in a body bag, they're probably not dead.
Damn you, Blacklist.
Oh man, that's funny. Okay, Red. We're finally at Red, and I gotta tell you, there's still 2 characters left. He's not our number 1 character this week. He's not the most prominent because he really didn't have a whole lot to do. Couple good things. Sounds like a bad idea until it's not. I like that. Mm-hmm. Looking at you makes my toes curl.
Loved it.
When he says that to Susan. Scottie. This is going to be a gas, Troy. I know you had to just
season 1
squee and pee yourself.
Back. Oh, yeah. It's his trademark line.
You love that one.
It was great.
So he wasn't really a focal point, but he does now control a potential president. And he knows a whole bunch about Susan and Howard. So did Red really get anything else this episode that you saw? Other than, I mean, at the baptism where he was not able to go up there, that was kind of sad.
So the question is through the course of that
Troy's
scene.
question.
There you go. I was waiting for one. He's in the back of the church. Did Tom see him in the doorway, or did he think he saw him? Because he glanced, but then when he glances back, Red's gone. So
he saw him.
I don't know.
He saw him.
It was in that window of time when he was actually standing there or not.
He felt his ominous presence is what happened. Yeah.
So
did anything else happen?
Yeah, he went to Liz's apartment and he's like, I'm going to sit on this couch that I bought and look through her stuff. And, oh, look, there's the bunny again.
Aww.
I thought it was nice to bring out the bunny. That was a nice touch.
Just keep emphasizing that she's not here anymore, huh?
Mm-hmm.
She's probably not here anymore. I mean, wouldn't it be funny? Like 2 years from now, we'll Megan Boone actually is like doing some other series, and we're still like, you know what? She's probably going to come back. This is probably the episode.
Yeah, I saw her in this other TV show, so she's obviously good.
That's funny. Susan Hargrave, and I'm sorry, that's really all we got for Red. So we're going to move on to Susan Hargrave, a brilliant strategist. She orchestrates Black Ops through Halcyon, which is Gray Matters as well, which means, I don't know, maybe they'll combine the name to the title. But she agrees to work with Red to blackmail Diaz, the next president, into flushing Captain Kirk out. I'm going to keep calling him Captain Kirk. You got me on that mindset. You think we'll see Senator Diaz again? I mean, he actually seemed almost honest.
Well, it was interesting because as they were doing the whatever fundraising dinner, and they were having like the, what do you call it, the roast of each other. Like she's roasting him, and then he's roasting Scottie. He even makes a mention about Howard and the fact that, oh, if I knew where he was, then he'd probably kill me because he can't tell me where he is. If you read the closed captioning, since it was when
right.
Tom was in the foreground there. So it was really interesting that there's some connections here with Diaz and the Hargrave family. So then, of course, my theory thing starts winding up, and I'm like, oh, maybe Diaz is behind or connected to the people that took Christopher away from the Hargraves in the first place.
I really hope he comes back because, even though he obviously can be bought to a degree, he seems to have a limit. And that interests me. Somebody that's morally flexible. Those kind of characters really interest me.
And again, isn't it interesting that we're talking about a potential future president, and 2017 is the magical date that the Decemberist, Mr. Fitch actually told us about. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays together. Is it really all about Inauguration Day and who controls the White House going forward?
Could be. Well, that's the other thing. I mean, Red does now control a potential president.
Even though he doesn't care about your presidents and your senators.
Right, because it's not his country. Why don't you tell us about that again, Troy? I haven't heard that in a while.
I will.
All right. Well, go ahead. You want to bring it up again?
It's not his country.
Waste another 10 minutes? Okay.
Sure.
I'm glad you got that out.
I don't care about the money. You can have the money back. I just want Kirk.
One thing I want to point out, and I haven't done it, we did it a lot in season 2, and we haven't really done it this much in season 3, is that and that's a good thing. When you don't really notice it, that to me is a great thing, actually. But the diversity on the Blacklist is always phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Easily the most diverse, in my opinion, the most diverse show on any network, where in terms of the cast, because it doesn't seem like it's not like NCIS where everybody's like this middle-aged white guy or middle-aged white girl or young white girl or whatever. It's diverse. I mean, it's all ethnicities, it's all walks of life. It's just they just seem very, very diverse, and they are doing it in such a way that they're just casting characters. It's not something that should ever be shown a light on. And the only reason I'm mentioning it is because I think it deserves mentioning, because I think it's impressive, because so many shows on TV don't do that, and they do it, and nobody ever says a word about it. And they're not looking for that word to be said about it. They're just casting the people they think best fit the roles. And I think it's great. I absolutely think it's great. And I keep meaning to bring it up again, and I haven't done it in a while, and this was a prime example. I
mean, they even showcase it, right? They're like, well, there's these decisions on the black side and these decisions on the white side. This is where the gray matters happen.
Mm-hmm. Just wanted to bring that up real quick. Okay, so Susan Hargrave, she speaks frequently about her loss as a mother. She fought with Howard, who I do want to mention while Tom is wandering around the house aimlessly, might be on life support in the other room.
And
right?
I on the second watch, I was paying attention to that because I was trying to figure out if the nanny with Agnes came out of a different door or if she came from the door to the main hallway, because then when Scottie says, I have to go, the future president's waiting for me downstairs, she goes out that door and then down the hall, and you could see the door at the other end of the hallway. So the question was
Troy's question.
There you go. I was waiting for it.
Oh, man, I had something in my throat, so it was hard to get that out. Let me try that again. Troy's question.
At the end of the hall was another door. It was at the same door that he saw the creepy guy in, and the creepy guy closed the door. So is the creepy guy watching Baby Agnes, or is the creepy guy watching Howard, potentially, because Scottie drugged him and took over the business?
Oh, that's totally Howard, because that was before she had Agnes.
No, that was right at the same time. Tom came upstairs to wait for her.
Well, I mean, but they showed Agnes, so you knew where Agnes was. So not in the same room. It's Howard.
But you
heard the breathing, the Darth Vader.
Well, that's because
apparatus.
Agnes was getting the medical attention that she needed.
I think it's Howard.
I like where you're going with it. I think it'd be a really cool idea, especially if you have this like underpinning, like, what about my dad? And then he's like, you're my mom, and oh my gosh, you killed my dad, and now I hate you. And there could be a whole bunch of stories that could come off of that.
I'm just saying Howard's been very prominent the last 2 episodes, and they even mentioned him in the speech. Well, you know, it'd be better if Howard was here, which I thought was a really crappy thing to say, by the way. and then you kind of allude to maybe there's somebody on life support or something in this room, and he can't come in this room. Get out of this room. No. So I'm just saying, Howard's in that room.
Watch that sequence, that scene a couple times, and you tell us next week. Is Aaron right? Was it a different room in the hallway, or do you think that's where Agnes was being kept? Team Aaron, Team Troy.
Just go Team Aaron. I mean, honestly, it's gonna be more fun. It really is. It's just Troy's gonna make you watch Alias over and over and over again. Maybe some Lost. That's really all you're gonna do. We're going to Puerto Vallarta, and we're gonna party.
That's right.
What's gonna happen. Okay, so the next day, her son was gone. She tells that story. Coincidentally, Susan took Tom's daughter, so we have a whole lot of babies being kidnapped in this episode. The one thing, when she took Tom's kid, could she not make a phone call? Maybe give him a little text. Hey, I got your kid, by the way.
No, because then it would be scanned, tipped off. Alexander Kirk would know where the baby is. She's got to do it on the DL so that the baby's hidden, safe.
How about writing it in crayon, maybe, and leaving it in the room? Just let him know that the baby's safe. Agnes is good.
Well, she was trying.
Other than her name.
She was trying to. Tom got there before the text message got to him. She was throwing a party. She was busy.
She was busy after she kidnapped the child.
She was busy kidnapping the child, making sure it was safe, setting up care for it, getting its medical attention, having a state dinner with $1 million plate function. Yeah, she's a very busy woman. And then Tom just shows up, and then she's like, Tom, your kid's fine, dude. Leave me alone. I got to go talk to a guy.
Can we talk about, now that we know that she's Tom's mom, or we think we know, because Red only tells the truth to Liz, so he might have been lying to Tom. It's possible. Yeah, I put that out there. I may just second guess it now. So, when Tom's choking her,
oh my gosh,
there was a super close moment where I'm like, are they gonna make out right now?
No, because the first time watching it through, you're like, ooh, looking kind of close, kissy face, and you're like, kind of want to see that, and then you were like, ew, no.
Yep. Once the revelation comes, it's like, wait. Then you rewatch it and like, they're totally gonna make out like mom and son. That's so weird, and I still want to watch it. No. I'm so disturbed.
Like, this is not Star Wars. No, Luke and Leia, please.
No, I'm going further than that. So,
Chinatown.
Was that not? Did that not look like a chokey kiss?
Oh, it looked like it was close. I mean, he chokes, and then it looks like they get closer as the camera moves the second time around before the door finally opens.
My question, I guess.
It's a question.
There you go. The question would be...
Yeah, you just said that.
Because I did say actually my question. I said it correctly.
You did.
So, but hey, have some fun, Troy. It makes you feel better to put down other people. So my question was, when watching that, I'm like, maybe they're going to play this up like she has a little thing for Tom because she doesn't realize it's her son. And I know some people are like, that's disturbing. Well, it's not disturbing if she doesn't know.
It's disturbing if he goes through with it, though, because he's already jumping.
He wouldn't go through with it
last week,
Well, maybe if he uses a different name, is it cool? I don't know what the rules are on that.
Oh, now we're getting into the kinky stuff, right? Hey, we're going to play different. We're going to play Turkish, weird guy with glasses.
Yeah, hang on. You're turning a lot of people off. They're probably just like, I'm done with this podcast. Rah, that's freaky. No, I mean, I didn't know if they were going to play with that because at the end, when the revelation comes and he knows, I still felt like, now maybe it's the way Famke plays it because she is a very seductive woman in a lot of the roles that she's played. Perhaps she's just playing it that way, but to me, it felt like she still maybe has a little, not motherly, but maybe a little attraction to a degree. Well, and she doesn't know.
She doesn't know, right? Like. So she could totally be playing it off as an attraction.
Yeah,
and Tom's not creepy, guys.
If she doesn't know, it's only creepy if she knows.
Yeah, she's like, you're my boss and my mom, but I can't tell you you're my mom, so just you're my boss. Space, sexual harassment, quid pro quo, and all that stuff.
Okay, I was just making sure I wasn't the only one that thought that was really close to a choke kiss.
Oh, no, yeah, first time through, I was like, oh, they're going to kiss. And then at the end of the episode, you're like, ew.
Now, take the revelation out of it. How would you have felt if they did kiss, even though his wife just recently, or not wife, almost wife, just recently died, allegedly?
I go back to, did she go first or did he go first? If she moves first, then it's fine.
Jeez, man rules. All right, let's go to Tom Keene, or, as I like to call him, Ethan Hunt. He bounces his bum to leading man status here, and I think he fits the bill. Let's give Mr. Ryan a round of applause.
This is the Tom Keene we've always wanted to see.
Yeah, Tom did a really, really good job, or Ryan did a really good job, right. I should say. He carried the entire episode. I've long been on the train that I don't like Tom and Liz. I'm not going to go through that again because, Liz is dead, quote unquote. So
she's not on the show anymore, at least.
Oh, she's not. Now she no longer works for the Blacklist. According to Starring, her name's still there. I'm just pointing that out.
Right.
Megan Boone's still there. So we've got him, and he finally gets basically leading man status, and this is setting up for a spinoff. So should it go? How do you feel about Tom Keene being the star of his pilot?
Love it. Especially if it's going to be like this, where it's like International Man of Mystery, like different mystery, different character each week. I think that'd be awesome because we even got a little bit of that at the end of season 2 when he went to go see the lady in the wheelchair with all the telephones. And then Liz got to say, oh, this is kind of who you really are, Jacob Phelps, or Christopher Hargrave in this case. It'd be interesting to see those different personalities because it was funny when he was sitting there and he's like, oh, yeah, but we could totally get da-da-da, whatever his name was, the Turkish guy. And immediately, the minute he said that, I was like, oh, that's one of his identities. And then Scottie's like, I don't know him. And I was like, oh, because that's me. And I was like, yes, that's what I want. I want the Tom Keene disguise show. I think it's going to be sweet.
I actually really, really liked it. He was so damn entertaining. And I'm just saying, no love story. He's very entertaining. And I actually, God, I never thought I would say this. I found the elements with him and Agnes compelling. Because in TV, it's always the mom and the child, and it's always, so this is a little bit different. At least there's a hint of something different. Because you never see the father that's the spy or the outlaw or whatever trying to raise a kid, unless Sons of Anarchy is the exception, I guess.
And so you have to give him credit because if the spinoff does get picked up, which I hope it does because it was actually really entertaining.
I think it will. Honestly, I think it will.
Yeah. Even if it's like a 10-episode summer thing, it'd be great just to fill out the schedule. Because what they did conceivably with the spinoff is they solved the Blacklist baby problem because now baby goes from Blacklist to new show. And then the baby actually has a purpose in the new show because Susan, Scottie, wants a baby because she lost her baby. Tom's got to be there to protect the baby and keep doing missions to keep the baby safe, all while worrying about his mom stealing the granddaughter. And then, so that's just all kinds of interesting. And then you have, of course, the thrown in, then the Tawny Cypress and Eddie Gathegi characters just to mix it up a little bit. I think it's really, really, really creative.
Yeah, I actually like it. Believe it or not, I actually like it. And I think it could work. So I'm open to it. I'm not saying I'm in love with it, but I'm open to it.
It may be the first procedural I actually watch.
I honestly don't think it would be a procedural. I think they'd still throw some serialized elements. Remember how Blacklist was very procedural to start, too?
Yeah.
And then it grew into what it is now. So I think the same thing would happen. I think they have a long-term plan. These things in TV, you don't get to series without a long-term plan. You don't have to have an end game, but you have to have a handbook to a degree. So the way I understand it, obviously I'm not working at NBC. That's just the way I would understand it. So Tom, very manly. I mean, he was kicking some ass. He was very caring. He was interesting throughout. He was engaging. I think he can carry a TV show along with Famke. Actually, it's both their shows, but I'm sure she's like the James Spader of the show.
Right.
But he's a leading man of the show. It's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I think both of them did a fantastic job, and I totally would watch it. It was interesting.
Yeah. So he goes undercover, gets caught, just so he can get extradited, but breaks out so they can kidnap Pruitt, get at Kirk's money, and all that to the tune of Papa Was a Rolling Stone. I'm going back to the Papa Was a Rolling Stone because that was great.
Awesome.
Great. It made my fingers snap, and I got into it, and then I saw what the song was, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Love that song. We do have a beautiful scene tying it all together as the post office are all there for Agnes's christening. And apparently everyone is the godparent except for Red. Poor Red. Very, very sweet. I do think at some point they're going to have some infighting because, who's the better godparent? Who's really like a godparent? There's got to be like a list, right?
Right, yeah. We're a dysfunctional family, even though we try to kill each other, but we're still family.
Did you like that everybody's the godparent as opposed to like picking somebody?
No, I think, well, and you don't know if it was classified as a godparent. They were just all there for the christening. There wasn't like a declaration of who is the godparent or not.
No, he said it.
He said we're all family.
No, man, I'm so ashamed of you. Tom Keene is holding them. He's like, you know what? You're all our godparents. Liz would want you all to be.
Oh, I missed it then. I was watching Red standing in the doorway.
Yep, that's what he said. So they're all the godparents, except for Red.
You're awesome. You watched it twice. I watched it twice, and you caught it. Whatever.
Yeah, whoopity. That's one thing. You'll go back and find something stupid that I never would have thought of that probably lynches everything together.
That's right.
Yeah, but you didn't this week, so bam.
Smoky Man hiding in the room on his respirator machine.
Well, the ending bombshell is that Susan is, in fact, Tom's mom. If we are to believe Red. Now, should we believe Red? Because I want to go back to Red lies to basically everybody except for Liz. So do you think he's telling Tom the truth?
Well, this goes back to the whole question of what is the relationship between Red and Tom, and why is it so interesting and strained, and sometimes they're together and sometimes they hate each other and all of that stuff. So I would lean on the side of believing that he's telling him the truth, because I really like the concept of he is the man of many disguises, and now he has to use the man of many disguises to throw his mom off the scent in order to protect her at the end of the day. I like that concept, so I'm hoping that it is a truthful statement.
Yeah, I'm assuming it is, and I'm kind of curious how they're going to play with that. The one thing I will say is, thank you for giving us an answer. We got a bleeping answer. Of course, you
just said if you can believe Red, and now you're saying, oh, thanks for the answer.
I do. Look, I think we have to ask that question, otherwise we're just being stupid. Because this is the Blacklist, and he lies a lot. But I do believe him, and I think it's legitimate, and I think they gave us an answer. We finally got an answer instead of having the same dilemma with the spinoff that you have with the current show, which I think would be a huge mistake on their part.
Absolutely.
Instead, they went a different route. It's similar but different, so it's its own thing, and I like that. I think it works. So we know what's going on, but we also don't know squat, as usual.
Even though we knew the whole time. Thank you, marketing department.
It's not marketing. I think it was just press. I got to find that out. Was it the
PR department, marketing department? It's the same group.
Whoever got that out kind of messed it up for some of us. Kind of put us off. But hey, what are you going to do? It's done now. It was a fun episode. I really liked it. I think it could be. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a second. But I think overall, what did you think of the episode as a Blacklist episode?
As a Blacklist episode, I was thoroughly entertained. I actually was on the edge of my seat when the wire transfer money was happening. You're like, oh, wow, it's really close. It's really close. I'm kind of sweating here. So there was a little bit of anticipation, I have to admit, on my part, even though as a TV watcher, I should be like, oh, they're totally going to get the money. But I was actually kind of like, maybe they are going to get the money. It would be kind of an interesting twist. Maybe they only get like half of it or something. And another half gets diverted because someone else was hacking into the system. So that was kind of interesting. Because of that, I would say I'm at an A-, better than last week's.
Yeah, I do think it was a lot better than last week's. And I will tell you, I've seen several backdoor pilots. Troy and I watch a lot of TV, and we're kind of ashamed of it. Troy watches more than I do because I do go outside. But I've seen several of them. A lot of them do not fit into the crux of the show this well. And I'm sure that they had to jam it in there because, originally the order was 22 episodes, right? And they bumped it to 23 to get this backdoor pilot in here.
Correct.
So I'm sure that they had to wiggle it and connect the dots in the middle. And I think they did a stellar job because I was totally on board. It didn't feel like it interrupted the flow of the show. It felt like it was still moving forward, even though our main characters weren't prominent. And that's really, really important if you're going to do something like this. Now, it also did it was a nice introduction to the people, because they were smart and they've introduced the characters throughout this second half of the season. And I think they did a nice job of setting them up so that we can also get behind them in some way. That's very important. And they've done a really good job with Tom. Tom's really the hardest one to differentiate, to separate. And I think they've done a really good job of giving him his own arc and his own plight and making it make sense.
Which is probably why I was so frustrated with seeing Tawny Cypress so early, was because we had seen the press releases. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's exactly what the idea was. Let's introduce you to Tawny, then let's introduce you back into Solomon, then let's introduce you to Susan, and then boom, here's the entire what the new show is going to be like. So that way you kind of knew who these people were, and you'd like them when the pilot started to air, versus because we knew it was coming, it was like, oh, you knew it was coming.
Yeah, and I'm very, and I usually avoid all that stuff. I've talked about it 100 times, but I usually avoid it. That was one of those things I just didn't avoid.
It was kind of hard that week.
I saw Fom come in, and I'm like, I got to read this. I can't not read it. And the first thing, it was like, possibly Tom's mom. I'm like, God, son of a bitch. And unfortunately, I am very envious at this point of people that were not aware of this bombshell, because that would have been a fantastic twist. I think it would have been a really cool twist to actually enjoy and live. And unfortunately, I didn't have that because I kind of thought it the whole time. So it's hard to do that.
Right.
And it wasn't like internet PI on my part, because I was not looking into it.
I was just scrolling through my news feed in Facebook, and it popped up.
Man.
Not even my news feed, like actual news, trending topics. I was just in there searching for something, and it was like, oh, look at that news story. And it's like, oh, damn it.
Yeah. And are you excited for the finale?
Oh, I'm super excited for next week. This is going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out, and then who is going to get who, and who's going to capture who, and who's going to turn on who. And I've been saying it all along. I mean, the one thing that Lost did really well, and Fringe did really well, and Alias to a degree did very well, was their season 3 endings were just kind of redefine the show to keep it going for another couple of years, and I'm really hoping that's the case next week.
And also, before we're going to do a couple things here, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about the pilot from this, and real quick. But don't you have a little bit of news to share with people?
I do. So
a little bit of a bombshell, if you will.
I wouldn't call it a bombshell, but
it could be a bombshell. We might get maybe we'll get some breaking news out of the guy. I don't know.
Who knows? But as it stands right now, so we'll do the finale show next week, and then we'll have that special cool fan feedback show where we're still hoping that you guys are going to do some clamors for us, or at least create something cool and just email it in, feedback@goldenspiralmedia.com. And once we have all of that, we'll include that in our kind of season wrap-up show, which could have a interview with one Mr. Bokenkamp again coming back on to chat with all of us and you, talking about the season as a whole, the spinoff, how they kind of came up with the idea. It'll be a lot of fun, so that'll come around the Memorial Day weekend here in the States.
Yep, and we will pick a handful of those questions submitted only after the finale, so don't send anything until the finale's done, because it's going to be after the finale we talk to them. A handful of those to ask your questions. We can't obviously ask everybody. Everybody's got a million of them. But we'll pick a few select ones and see if he'll answer.
Yep.
For you guys.
Is Megan Boone dead?
We might have that answered next week.
When is she coming back?
Don't know. What do you think, Troy? Do you have an opinion?
She doesn't work for the show apparently anymore, according to social
she
media.
Yeah, she's out there. Boy, she's probably she's going to be in a Marvel movie probably.
Yeah.
Right? She's going to be the next Wasp for the Ant-Man series.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, guys, show's not over yet, so don't go anywhere. But please remember to download the Blacklist Exposed app for iOS and Android. Be sure to go even deeper into the mystery of Red Reddington by visiting our partner Blacklist site, theblacklistnbc.com. If you want to know more special agents like yourself, check out the Trusted Associates section on theblacklistnbc.com.
And don't forget, as I mentioned, CLAMMR, clamor.com. Create those Blacklist Exposed mashups. Me and Aaron picking on each other, any kind of favorite scenes you had from this entire season, and then put that to some fun music or sound effects or whatever you want to do. Heck, you can even do it in GarageBand or whatever audio editing program you have. It doesn't have to be on Clamor. Just send them on in here. Feedback at goldenspiralmedia.com.
We'll be back with this week's Red's Rhetoric right after this. Are you sick of the endless, poorly realized remakes as we are? Then take a listen to Remake This Movie Right, where we take a classic movie, figure out what works and what doesn't, throw a dash of humor at it, and then we craft our own remake. So by the end of every episode, we will remake this movie right. Recently featured as a podcast to listen to by the AV Club, you can find us at RemakeThisMovieRight.com or your podcast app of choice. Every movie you love will get a remake someday, and only you can make it better.
Welcome to Red's Rhetoric, or should we say Scottie's Speeches this week. It's the part of the show where we play two scenes from the episode, and you get to vote over at theblacklistexposed.com. Just look for the post for Alexander Kirk, Part 1. I fear that for the 53% of you, though, that would actually take the chance of getting a single daffodil sent your way, as Red Daffodil won last week by the slimmest of margins. This week's first scene comes as Susan shares her anxiety issues.
I don't know if it bothers you telling people things they don't want to hear, but it makes me uncomfortable, which is ironic because most people think I'm a bully. They think I enjoy it, being blunt, making people feel small, but nothing could be further from the truth. Years ago, I suffered an unspeakable loss, and since then I've been crippled by free-floating anxieties that attach to pretty much anything. Some days I can't even get out of bed. I haven't slept through the night in 2 years. 4 a.m., I'm up doing Sudoku. Normally, I delegate a meeting like this because the conflict, it's debilitating. But I'm working on the power of positive confrontation.
Ada apa? Di situ tidak hanya yang semua.
I haven't brushed up on my Indonesian in a while, but I'm going to guess he's telling you your brother's being held hostage by my people. True. If you want to see your brother alive again, you're going to transfer the money. Number's 3 million.
Would you take cash?
The second is when she talks about the little girl from the bank.
What the hell is wrong with you?
My daughter, where is
Showing
she?
up uninvited? Do you have any idea who some of those people are?
I don't care. They said you took her.
Tonight is important to me.
A nurse is dead. A 7-year-old girl was shot in the robbery.
Sadie Loescher, a second grader at PS 126, is resting comfortably in a private room at Mount Sinai thanks to the work of a renowned vascular surgeon whose schedule miraculously cleared up in time to remove 6 bullet fragments lodged in her sacrum. If you're thinking of sending flowers, don't. She's allergic, but she loves dark chocolate.
What did you do with my little girl, huh?
My people received word Kirk was on the move. I alerted the FBI, and because of it, more people weren't hurt. Your daughter is safe, and she's getting the medical attention she needs. Have you finished? The next president of the United States is waiting downstairs for me.
If you're working on your confrontation anxiety, vote Susan Anxious. Or if you also donate $7 million to protect small children, vote Susan Medical.
Okay, so now we're going to wrap the show up with the pilot talk. Now we've seen it, we've talked about it, we kind of talked about it as Blacklist, but it's mostly a pilot. It really is. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this would have been a standalone pilot you would have seen in September or start of the summer. I think it would have been a very interesting show, and you would have come around for at least 2 to 3 more.
Absolutely. So overall, what do you think? Is this a show? And we took a poll, so we're gonna from you guys, from people that just watched the episodes. We're gonna read that here in a second. But what did you think? Is this a show, a series that you would want to watch? It seems like it, since it sounds like you already did.
Well,
called Alias.
Yeah, that's what I kept going back to. Is this too much like Alias? Is this something that I've seen before? What's the twist that makes it different? And I think when it got to the end and you got the bomb drop of him being the son and that he has to hide it from his mom while they work together, I think that was enough of a hook for me to say, okay, there is a little bit of a genre element here, that if it is more procedural based for a while, I can handle the procedural knowing that there's at least some mystery still that has to be unfolded as the procedural plays out. So I'd be in for at least a season and see how the first season goes, kind of like we were with Blind Spot this year. Like Blind Spot, to me, Blind Spot, when it started out, I was not a fan. By like the 9th episode of Blind Spot, I was kind of like, the actors, you're just not connecting with anybody. It's just not good. And then they had this big bombshell that happened right before the fall finale or winter break. And now I'm actually enjoying Blind Spot. So I think that if it can do that, where it can pick up steam and hold you for a season, then it'd be great.
Yeah, I'm on board. I love heist movies, and I love team-based crime thrillers, and this feels like that's what it's going to be. I really can't wait. But honestly, sincerely, I'm really on board.
I want the unexpected, though. I don't want it to be such a polished heist movie or
heist
show.
I don't think it will be. I think there's a lot more to it. It's just they can only show us so much, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and John are the creators again, right? That depends on if they're going to hand off Blacklist to somebody else to show run it, like maybe Luke Reeder and Orsi, and then they're going to focus on this, or if they're going to pass this off to somebody and stay with the Blacklist. Who knows how that's all going to work out? But this is their original creation that they pitched to the network and to Sony. So it'll be interesting to see how they can bring some of the Blacklist fun and misdirection into this kind of heist international man of mystery situation.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting, because I think they would still do like crossover episodes probably, because they said, from what I've read, that Ryan could still bounce over to the Blacklist,
right?
Yeah, every time. So we'll see how that works out, and I think we'll know pretty soon if it's picked up. I think people are saying Monday, so very, very soon it'll be announced if it's going to come back.
This one's interesting because the backdoor pilot literally just aired. Mm-hmm. Most of the networks would probably, some of them already did announce today, Thursday, the day the Blacklist aired.
At the upfronts, yeah.
In press releases in preparation for the upfronts. Mm-hmm. Most of them will probably announce tomorrow, Friday when you're listening to this, once it comes out. And then the week of May 16th is when the actual presentations to the advertisers are out there. In the case of this, I'm sure they're going to look to see what the ratings were, which kind of is a false positive in a sense, because it's still a Blacklist episode. So you have to take that into account. So it's really the Blacklist ratings, not the new episode ratings. I would assume at this point, if they're going to pick it up, they're going to pick it up.
I totally think they're picking it up.
Or they could wait. They could just seriously wait, see how things pan out with their fall slate of pilots that they have. And if they're a complete dud for NBC this year, then they know they have this in their back pocket to fill the schedule.
I really hope it's handled before John comes on, because I'd like to be able to ask him about that.
Exactly.
And, so
just pick it up for us, NBC.
Yeah, just do it.
It's all about Aaron and I.
Do it for the fans. It's all about Troy, really, is what it boils down to.
Totally is.
So if you could name this show, this spinoff, anything you wanted, what would it be?
I was talking about like the Halcyon Chronicles. What were some of the other ones I came up with? I had a whole list this afternoon, and I didn't write them down. I was just kind of firing them off there. Aaron was kind of laughing at me about them.
Because most of them were ridiculous.
We actually saw one on Twitter. They said we should call it the Fakeub show, like fake Jacob.
I've got the right answer.
Shoot.
I've got the best title that they could ever have.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
I'm sitting down.
You should. Well, that's good, because you're going to need to hold on to your butts.
Okay.
Okay. Jeans Grays. Think about it.
Because of the Gray Matters thing.
Gray Matters.
But nobody's named Jean.
Famke Johnson.
She's not named Jean in the show. She's named
Jean Grey
in
the X-Men, stupid.
I know where it's coming from. I'm just saying it just doesn't fit.
It was brilliant!
No, mine was better.
Oh, my God, it was brilliant.
Like, I was playing off of, like, the Charlie's Angels thing, so I was like Scottie's Cherubs. Because they're all boys, like boy angels.
Man, that was a stroke of brilliance that I can't duplicate ever in my life, and it was wasted on
It would have
you.
been perfect if there would have been somebody named Jean in the show.
She was Jean Grey.
But there's nobody.
Grays
named Jean.
matters. See the connection? It's beautiful.
You're stretching.
No, it's beautiful. And I Team Aaron. Everybody's on Team Aaron right now because they're all like, man, I get it. And John, hopefully he heard it because he's like, man, that is the best title ever. Jean's Grays.
I do.
Better than Grays Matters.
I like
Whatever.
I like the Halcyon Chronicles.
Yeah, it's because you thought of it. Jean's Grays is better.
It's no better than, but it is. What did I
It
say?
is because it has like all kinds of like connections and stuff. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You know what? I'm done with you.
It was a great thing. I was just looking for the Jean connection in the
doesn't
show with an
feel-
actual character named Jean. Because I got the gray
The
part.
connection
which the gray
is the
matters.
person that played her.
Whatever.
Is there.
Whatever.
You know what? That's going to conclude this episode because I can't deal with this nitwit anymore.
No, we got to do the poll. We can't.
Oh,
edit yet.
wait. What, there's a poll?
There's a
All right,
poll.
let's do the poll. What is the poll? What was the question and what were the answers?
So before we
For Jean's Grays.
So before the episode aired tonight, we put out the link to the Today Show interview that Famke did over there and said, hey, are you guys interested in the spinoff? And when we got the results back from that poll, 39% of you said, heck yeah, give me the spinoff. 61% of you said, nope, just leave my Blacklist the way it is. After the episode aired on the East Coast, we sent out another poll, which did have 4 answers. So we'll go ahead and read out what those were here in 1 second. The answers were, do you want the spinoff now that you've seen it? 41% said, loved it, I'm in. 23% said, liked it, we'll check it out, which is 64%.
Nice.
7% said, not really interested. And 29% said, don't check with the Blacklist.
Now, are those people worried that it's going to take away from the Blacklist, you think? Or they just didn't?
Potentially.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I really don't. From what I saw, I don't see anything that would really take away from our show.
But let's be clear now. So before the pilot aired, we were 40% for, 60% against, and now we're more 65% for, 35% against. So the tables have turned after seeing the episode.
That's good. That's
a
good
good sign.
statistics, man.
Good
I like
omen.
it.
Good omen.
Which means I think when NBC announces that Jean's Grace is coming in the fall, I think we're set up. We're good to go. Yep. All right. Well, we will be back in 7 or 8 days for the finale. I can't wait. And then obviously we'll have the interview with John shortly after, about a week after that. So I can't wait for the finale. I'm extremely excited. I have no idea where they're going to go. And I'm kind of glad that this was an episode before the finale because now I don't know what's going to happen. Only what I think is going to happen, which means I think we might get a little call from Liz. You know what I'm saying? What about you? Are you pumped? You ready?
I am super stoked. Super stoked.
I can't wait for it. So
It better be good because I've been touting it. I've been saying it's going to be awesome. It's going to be off the chain.
they haven't let me down in the finale yet.
They
I
have
think
not.
we're going to be good. And you've got this thing. Troy has this weird theory where season 3 of a show is almost always the best. So this should be phenomenal. Off the chain, off the charts. What do the kids say? It's going to be on fleek? I don't know. Whatever it is, that's what it's going to be.
I'm trying to remember what the end of 24 season 3 was. Because I know season
that
3
one-
wasn't the
that
greatest.
was one where you chopped his hand off.
Oh,
Remember
that's
that?
right. That's right.
That was so good.
Because season
so good.
Because season 3 didn't start out all that great with the whole drug story thing.
No, great finale though.
But it was a great
'Cause
finale.
he cried in his truck.
Yep, he did.
Man, I love 24. I miss Jack Bauer.
He's coming back.
Okay.
First episode, first new show picked up for the fall was Distinguished Gentleman. So it'll be,
That's not Jack Bauer, my friend.
but he gets to be president finally after all those years of protecting him.
Not Jack Bauer, my friend. Does he get to kill anybody? Does he get to torture anybody?
Don't
You
know
have to
yet.
say, damn it.
Don't know yet.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. All right, well, that's going to conclude this episode. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at the Blacklist GSM. Can I do it now, or is there a poll? Another poll?
Nope, you're good. You're good.
Troy poll. Okay, well, we live tweet during the East Coast feed. Only one episode left, and we use the show's hashtag, the Blacklist.
Don't forget to follow us on Tumblr, Instagram, and also join the Facebook group. Just search for the Blacklist Exposed. Remember, when you're in the Facebook group, no spoilers and no ways to watch the shows illegally, please.
Well, you can post an article and then say spoilers in the comments are allowed.
Exactly,
But just
yeah.
don't do it as the
Don't do it so I can scroll through it and then find out that, Tawny Cypress is in the show.
What?
What?
I didn't know she was going to come back. Man, I can't wait to see her on Jean's Grays in the fall. I really can't. I'm looking forward to
let it go. Finish the show. Just make fun of Aaron.
Also
make fun of Aaron.
subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, leave us a review, or listen from the website. But if you're really on the go, make sure you download our app for iOS and Android, powered by Spreaker. You can also find all the intel and analysis about this episode for Alexander Kirk by visiting theblacklistexposed.com. Big thanks for listening, guys. I am super excited for the finale. Don't forget to answer our profiling question. I want to see if any of you can get it and guess it correctly. How will the season end?
In dead silence. We'll see you next week. Until next time, I'm Agent Troy Heinrichs. That's at Troy Heinrichs on Twitter. And if you want to learn more about me, just visit, about.me/Troy Heinrichs.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson. You can hear me talking about movies and TV on the Hollywood Outsider podcast, as well as Remake This Movie Right. We are available at thehollywoodoutsider.com or on Twitter at H_outsider. Be sure to subscribe, download the app, submit your feedback, but most importantly, keep yourself off of the Blacklist.
The Blacklist Exposed is a Golden Spiral Media production. Find more of our great podcasts at goldenspiralmedia.com/podcasts.
Jean's Grays, coming 2016.